You don't build unbreakable confidence by staring at a mirror and chanting affirmations. You build it by arranging your world so that even when you are hit, you land on your feet. By design, not by luck. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this before most men learned to write their names. He called it virtù, not virtue in the moral sense, but force of character sharpened into strategy, a capacity to shape events instead of being shaped by them. Confidence that depends on applause is theater. Confidence that depends on mood is weather. Confidence the Machiavelli way is architecture, stone, weight, angles, indifferent to storms. You do not beg the wind to be gentle, you build walls that ignore it. Start with the oldest struggle. Fortuna versus virtù. Fortuna is the spinning wheel of events, the river that floods without warning, the court that praises you on Monday and starves you on Friday. Most men pray to it or curse it. Machiavelli studied it and engineered for it. He said the river will overflow. Your foolishness is to pretend it won't. Your wisdom is to build levees in a season of calm and canals to turn floodwater into power. Translate that into your life. Confidence is not the absence of uncertainty. It is the presence of prepared responses. When you are proud because nothing is going wrong, you are not confident. You are untested. When you are calm because you have already priced the worst and set a lever for it, then your chest goes quiet. Your hand stops shaking. Your voice carries weight. You are no longer hoping. You are ready. Modern men build their identity on opinions. Machiavelli built his princes on outcomes. He never asked, "Do they like me?" He asked, "What arrangement makes betrayal expensive? What cadence makes panic unprofitable? What signal makes my allies appear without noise?" Unbreakable confidence begins where opinion ends. You will measure yourself by what your rules do under pressure, not by what you intend when you are rested. A code that dissolves when someone frowns is not a code. It is a costume. The first Machiavellian move, then, is to replace identity with constitution. Write how you operate in lines so short they survive adrenaline. I reply in windows. I decide on Thursdays. I never change scope during delivery. I price urgency. I apologize for harm and enforce boundaries without heat. You do not announce this to be admired. You publish it so that rooms can orient themselves, so that the wheel of Fortuna can scream and your cadence stays boring. Boring is the shape of power. Confidence collapses when men confuse love with leverage. You were told the world would reward you if you were endlessly available, endlessly pleasing, endlessly visible. That is not reward, that is harvesting. Machiavelli wrote that it is safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Read it correctly. Fear is the recognition that there is a cost for violating your terms. It is not cruelty, it is consequence. You become feared in the clean adult sense when your environment enforces itself. A late payer meets a late fee at 72 hours, automatic. A scope violator meets a pause or phase 2, automatic. A gossip finds your silence and the mirror question, automatic. When your world has rungs that climb themselves, your voice does not need to rise. People call you calm. Under the calm is a machine. Machines do not panic. Machiavelli separated appearance from essence with razor wire. He did not say to become hollow. He said to arrange your surfaces so that enemies misread your depth. In practice, you will show less than you know, reveal less than you feel, and speak only to move the board. Posturing is peacocking. It is loud and fragile. Presence is mass. It is quiet and heavy. You gain mass by becoming predictable in the only ways that matter. Your delivery, your temper, your schedule, your enforcement, and unpredictable in the ways predators read, your reactions, your need for approval, your tendency to over-explain. The man whose shipments arrive on the same weekday, but whose face reveals nothing under insult, becomes illegible to manipulators and indispensable to adults. Unbreakable confidence is not the absence of fear. It is your refusal to donate your fear to the room. Let's go further into virtù, the engine of this method. Virtù is composed of 4 alloys: clarity, cold preparation, controlled visibility, and consequence discipline. Clarity is the end of fog. You do not live in adjectives. You live in options. You do not fight over narratives. You price them. When a dispute rises, you put 3 paths on the table with costs and risks. A cheap and fragile, B balanced, C robust and expensive. You recommend one. Then you stop talking. Clarity makes rooms exhale. Your confidence grows because you no longer waste blood proving that your feelings are sincere. You move decisions toward nouns and dates. Cold preparation is the art of pre-losing on paper. You run a pre-mortem. It's week 3, we failed because XYZ'd. Then you install a check, a clause, a cadence to prevent each. This is not paranoia, it is bridge building. Controlled visibility means no campaigning. You do not narrate your grind, you deliver on cadence. You let proof accrue like stone. Finally, consequence discipline. You enforce once, without heat. You do not bargain your boundary to be seen as nice. Machiavelli did not write manuals for men who seek unanimous approval. He wrote maps for men who prefer real alliances to kind illusions. The psychology underneath is simple. Your nervous system is a monarchy currently ruled by the loudest lobbyist in the hallway. Guilt, flattery, urgency, silence. Machiavellian confidence dethrones them by centralizing authority in your constitution. You stop outsourcing your pulse to other people's alarms. Guilt says, if you enforce, you will lose love. Your constitution answers, I apologize for harm, not for borders. Flattery says, you are so responsive, so generous, so important, and attempts to buy your compliance with compliments. Your constitution answers, reply windows are 11:12 and 16:17. Urgency says, right now or disaster, without an external clock. Your constitution prices rush or laughs at theater. Silence says, fill me or they'll misread you. Your constitution says, misreading is cheaper than over-explaining. This is what Machiavelli meant by arming the mind. You issue arms to your standards, not to your emotions. Fear of being misunderstood weakens most men. Machiavelli's cure is to embrace opacity as policy, not as performance. You will be misunderstood by those who feed on spillage. Let them. Your allies will not need constant translation. They will learn your cadence. Your enemies will tire. You will remain. You cannot be unbreakable while requiring every pair of eyes to see you in the exact light you prefer. That need is a leash. Confidence breaks leashes by valuing effect over impression. Impression will fluctuate with weather. Effect survives. Now the method in motion. Begin with the simplest Machiavellian practice. Choose a day to decide and obey it. Thursday afternoon becomes your court. Everything flows toward that day like water to a lock. By fixing a decision window, you dismantle the tyranny of puddle fires, small emergencies that hijack your brain. The world learns quickly. If it matters, it arrives as options before Thursday. If it can't wait, it pays rush. Your mind stops twitching like a bird. Your nights grow quiet. Confidence is not something you squeeze out of your lungs. It is an environment that allows your lungs to relax. Add reply windows. Twice a day, the gate opens. Outside of those gates, you are unreachable unless a genuine external clock is ticking. A flight, a legal deadline, an operational safety event. Every other urgent is an appetite disguised as imperative. Watch what happens to your pulse when appetites stop banging on the glass. Watch what happens to your reputation when your replies are boringly punctual instead of heroically immediate. People will prefer your reliability to your availability, and those who demand access over outcomes will self-select away. No speech required. Quiet subtraction is the most Machiavellian audit. Then write your consequence ladder once. Step 1, friendly reminder. Step 2, friction, fee, pause, slower cue. Step 3, termination with a clean handoff. You print it, you link it, you let it manage heat that would have burst in your throat. Princes who need rage to enforce law lose law when they are tired. Princes who publish consequence do not need rage. Their law becomes gravity. In parallel, practice one-clause truths. The world uses fog to make you bargain. You will not swing at fog. You will cut it with clauses. Urgency without an external clock is theater. We don't discuss scope during delivery. Done means acceptance criteria met in writing. We either reduce scope or move the date. Payment at 72 hours. At 72, we pause. These are not slogans. They are equations. Deliver them flat. Your voice does not rise because math does not shout. Men who need volume are selling an illusion. Men who present math can whisper. Machiavelli advised princes to appear merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, and religious, while being ready to act contrary when necessity demands. Translate this without corruption. Cultivate warm eyes and clean edges. Protect the absent. Attribute wins by name in writing. Apologize once for harm and modify your system so recurrence is expensive. But when necessity arrives, do not sacrifice outcomes to protect an image. Appear good enough for the sheep to graze without panic. Be strong enough for the wolves to lose their appetite. That balance is not cynicism. It is adult stewardship. Your confidence becomes unbreakable because it is no longer rented to public opinion. You must also learn the Machiavellian silence, the kind that forces the room to price its own suggestions. Most men drown silence with reassurance. You will hire silence as a foreman. When someone asks you to break your cadence, you count 5 beats, then return to options with costs. When someone performs panic, you let the performance expire in the air. When someone uses praise to push a favor, you smile once and point to the operating page. Silence in these moments is not aggression. It is oxygen for adults. It kills theater faster than a sermon. The enemy of unbreakable confidence is campaign mode. The urge to explain, to justify, to post progress pictures of your soul so strangers will clap. Campaigning is begging in better clothes. Machiavelli would have laughed. He did not collect likes. He collected leverage. You will collect leverage by making systems carry your weight when you are tired. Replace status meetings with decision memos. Replace pleading with policy. Replace charisma with consistency. When proof becomes a rhythm, words retire. What about love? What about friends? Machiavelli was not ignorant of hearts. He knew that affection is real and that men prefer to be loved. He also knew that affection, unguarded by structure, becomes a theater where rescues substitute for respect. Unbreakable confidence in love is not detachment. It is banks on the river. You will say, "I don't argue past midnight. I reply in windows." If it's urgent with a clock, call twice. I share feelings to be known, not to be allowed. Love that cannot tolerate those rules is not love. It is unstable energy seeking a skyhook. You are not a hook. You are a keel. Fortuna will still throw bricks. A launch will fail. A person you trusted will reveal that they loved your leaks, not your presence. A reputation will take a hit through rumor or malice. The Machiavellian answer is not to burn the city with your proof. It is to return to canals and levees. You audit which lever failed, which clause was missing, which window invited theft, and you install the fix. Anger is a trembling kind of hope, the hope that noise will make reality retreat. Reality does not retreat, it corrects. Your confidence grows because you increasingly meet reality in its language. Schedules, scope, cost, acceptance, consequence. Fortunes will change. Your posture won't. An important refinement. Do not mistake cruelty for steel. The doctrine you are building is sharp but humane. You are dangerous because you don't depend on permission, not because you enjoy pain. The Machiavellian prince can keep faith when it is useful to keep faith. You will keep faith because it is useful and because it makes rooms predictable. But if keeping faith would destroy your realm, you will pivot without guilt. Guilt is domestication software. You upgrade it to responsibility. Harm repaired fast, system modified, so harm becomes expensive. Responsibility frees you from apology as a lifestyle. You apologize once, precisely, then show the new lever. People start trusting your repairs more than they trusted your promises. That is the moment confidence migrates from your chest into the room itself. The room begins to hold you. You might ask, where is courage in all this? Isn't courage the fuel of confidence? Machiavelli would say courage without maps is meat for crows. Courage with maps is governance. Your courage here is not the bellow of a bull. It is the quiet of a man who can sit through a provocation without bleeding words. It is the calm of a man who can say, no. Here's how this works, A or B. I recommend B. It is the discipline of a man who will leave a bad deal with a clean handoff and no monologue. Courage is not loud because it does not need witnesses. It needs rails. Let's build practical scaffolding around your life so the theory sticks. Start with a one-page operating page for yourself or your team. Title, How We Operate. Sections 4 lines each. Cadence, reply windows, decision day, ship day. Scope, what we do and don't do during delivery. Rush, how panic is priced. Consequence, ladder, 3 rungs. Definition of done. Acceptance criteria in writing. Pin the page. Link it when someone tugs at you. Every link saves a paragraph. Every paragraph saved returns a heartbeat to your chest. Next, write a personal pre-mortem for the next 90 days. It's day 60 and I am anxious and behind because I broke cadence, because I filled silence with apologies, because I took a vanity project for approval. For each, add 1 lever. Cadence audit every Friday 16:30. 5-beat pause before any yes. Cost of noise policy for vanity requests. Tape the pre-mortem inside the first page of your notebook. When you feel the itch to perform, look at the sheet that predicted the itch. Smile at how boring you are becoming, a man whose future mistakes are already priced. Then install a weekly ritual Machiavelli would recognize, the Thursday Court. For 90 minutes you review decisions, not feelings. Each item arrives as a brief. Problem, 3 options with costs, risks, 1 recommendation, checkbox. Anything that arrives as vibes is returned to sender with a gentle line. Convert to options and costs for Thursday. If something is truly on fire, it either has an external clock, use the rush policy, or it doesn't, end theater. The court becomes sacred. People stop scheduling you like a vending machine. They design around your gravity. Confidence rises because your world stops lurching. It begins stepping. You will notice after a few weeks that rooms grow quieter when you arrive. People speak fewer words. They cut prefaces. They carry small tables. They quote your one-clause truths. They ask for your Thursday. This is the Machiavellian signature, the prince's character becoming the city's habit. Confidence that once lived in your breath migrates into the culture. Now, Fortuna still floods, but the canals do their work. People will call you severe. Let them. Severity is often what clarity feels like to appetites. What of ambition? Doesn't Machiavelli tell you to grasp for more? He tells you to expand when you can hold what you have without trembling. Unbreakable confidence grows through controlled growth. You take the hill you can fortify. You decline the hill whose supply lines would break your cadence. You say no to applause that requires you to be available instead of effective. You say yes to dull contracts that keep your rhythm. You diversify your sources of power. Distribution, data, cash flow, allies by role, broker, shield, scout, anchor, closer, so that no single defection breaks the realm. When your base is boring, your muzzle can be dangerous. If your base is noise, your muzzle must always be noise. Noise breaks. Appearances often deceive, Machiavelli warned. Therefore, you will cultivate appearances that are unfalsifiable by results. The watch on your wrist is analog, not to be stylish, but to keep your gaze away from a screen that breaks your attention. Your phone is face down in meetings. Your notebook contains 1 ribbon, no slogans. Your shoes are clean. Your email footer is a single line with your cadence. None of this is fashion. It is artifact. Environment speaking for you before you can be tempted to overspeak for yourself. Confidence loves minimal signals. Predators hate them. They require hooks. You present edges and exit. You cannot be unbreakable while trapped in arrangements that require your soul as rent. The Machiavellian exit is clean, document-heavy, narrative-free. We end Friday. Handoff attached. Passwords, SOPs, status. Grateful for what we built. No morality play. No jury addressed. Every exit like this returns 10 pounds to your spine. The first time you leave well, you will shake. The second time, you will feel light. The third time, You will become dangerous in the best way, immune to hostage-taking. When a room senses you can leave without destroying the building, it will respect your presence without owning it. You will be tested by flattery, by guilt, by the counterfeit of trust that arrives as family talk from convenience partners. Translate everything into risk and cadence. We're like family becomes here are the options, costs, and the escrow. We need you now becomes what external clock. We'll make it up to you becomes late fees at 72 hours, pause at 72. If someone insists that math is unkind, you are in the company of people who prefer fog to farming. Fog cannot feed you. Farming can. There will be days you break your own rule. You will answer outside your window. You will agree to a scope change mid-delivery. You will send a paragraph to be understood by someone who intends not to understand. Do not conclude that you are fated to crawl. Repair fast. I broke cadence. Fix. Reassert windows and ship Thursday. I violated scope. Fix. Move the change to phase 2. I over-explained. Fix. Next time. Clause, then quiet. Every repair hardens your rails. Men think confidence grows by never erring. Machiavelli knew it grows by short mean time to restore. The city that repairs faster is safer than the city that boasts of perfection. If you must put this into a pocket creed you can carry into any room, it is this: control cadence, command consequence, compress truth, and conserve breath. Control cadence with reply windows and a weekly court. Command consequence with a 3-step ladder and an exit prepared in peacetime. Compress truth into options and costs. Speak clauses, not pleas. Conserve breath by letting paper, clocks, and silence perform the labor speeches used to. Do these and your heart rate will become a metronome in rooms that once made it stutter. Do these and your face will stop asking permission. Do these and your eyes will stop looking for juries. One day someone will ask how you became so confident. You will not say you learned to love yourself more. You will say you learned to price the world. You will not say you overcame fear. You will say you overruled it with cadence and consequence. You will not say you found your voice. You will say you taught your silence to work. You will not say you mastered people. You will say you mastered your levers, scope, time, risk, acceptance, exit. Machiavelli would recognize you, not because you are ruthless, but because you are realistic. Not because you are cold, but because you have stopped using heat as a tool. Not because you dominate, but because your standards do, whether or not you are in the room. So, if you need one final sentence to etch over the gate of your city, carve the only line that survives adrenaline and protects you when Fortuna turns her wheel. It is not dramatic. It is not poetic. It is the generator humming in the basement when the lights go out. It is the canal carrying the flood into turbines. It is the standard that makes rooms quiet. No, here's how this works.